Joining me now with more of the Roundtable talks, the weekend referendum in eastern Ukraine and the upcoming Ukrainian elections is Anton Fedyashin. He's the executive director of the Initiative for Russian Culture at American University. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be here, Elaine.
You know, what can these Roundtable talks accomplish if not every side is represented at the table?
Well, unfortunately, very little, and that's the biggest problem with them. They are clearly a step in the right direction, but the most important parties are missing. It's as if the Kiev government has forgotten that the whole point of negotiations is that you often have to conduct them specifically with the people that you disagree with most.
So what happens next? And talk about the timing of these talks. Shouldn't they have happened much earlier than less than 2 weeks out before this big election?
Much earlier. As a matter of fact, it would have made a lot more sense had the Kiev government decided to talk to the people in the eastern regions before sending in the army and not the other way around. But this is part of an unfortunate trend whereby the Kiev government has made very, very poor decisions and shown its political incompetence, unfortunately.
So how do they turn this all around? Is there a way that everyone can be included at this point? How can that happen?
Well, absolutely. First of all, I think that it's important for the Russians to be included in these talks, and of course, even the representatives of the separatist forces in eastern Ukraine. We just heard in your report that the President, Turchynov, mentioned that they haven't heard any words coming out of the east. Well, they did. There was a referendum, no matter how poorly attended or how hastily organized, but that was a form of non-violent communication, and instead, unfortunately, Kiev has decided to ignore it altogether.
We had you here last week, just before that referendum took place. Now you're here a day or two after. I want to get your thoughts following that referendum.
Well, the referendum was a protest vote above all. That was its significance. 3/4 of the population of the eastern regions of Lugansk and Donetsk do not trust the Kiev government. What is also true is that most people were not clear about whether they were voting for secession from Ukraine and joining Russia, or whether they were voting for self-determination. The bulk, according to all of the opinion polls, were probably voting for greater autonomy and greater rights of local self-government. Unfortunately, the leaders of the regions decided to make the results more radical, to join Russia.
These talks, obviously pushed by the West, the election coming up, also the West is very much behind. Want to get your take again, looking ahead 11 days from now. How do you see this playing out?
Well, as long as the military operation is being conducted by the Kiev government against its own people, it's very difficult to see how the people in the East will want to go and participate in a process that is being set up despite their interests without their views being heard, which is what happened in Kiev today. I think the first thing that needs to happen is the military campaign has to stop, and two, people from the eastern regions and the Russians will have to be invited to the roundtable. If the American ambassador is there, there's no reason why the Russians should also not be represented.
Anton Fedyashin, I know you're on your way to Russia in a few days. We'll try to get you back on the show while you're there. You can tell us some of the developments on the ground.
We'll be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.